Let's talk about embedding quotes, which is how you get quotes to fit into your own writing in a way that looks and sounds natural. Here's the anatomy of a quote in a way that you might see it in your writing. This right here is a lot of context leading up to the quote, and if the quote is actual dialogue, the speaker, comma, quote, the exact words you have taken from the text, citation, period. Let's break that down. We start with context that leads up to the quote. Then there's a comma right before the quote begins. Then the quote itself opens and ends with quotation marks, and the whole thing closes with a citation that comes in parentheses after the quote, followed by a period at the end of the sentence. Your job is to avoid a quote dump, which is where you take a quote and just dump it into the middle of your essay like a load of trash without trying to connect it or work it into what's around it. Let's look at one of those in progress. This is from an essay analyzing Animal Farm. When the animals realized where the missing milk had gone, the pigs try to justify why they, and not the whole farm, should get to eat the best food. It is for your sake that we drink that milk and eat those apples. From Orwell, page 36. Look right here. That spot where the context ends with the period, and then there's a space, and then the quote just dumps in there, not connected to anything else, that is a quote dump, and we have to figure out a way to fix that. Your job is to try to figure out how to avoid those by weaving quotes into your own writing, which means weaving them into what's already there, the same way that a weaver weaves a new thread between the existing pieces of the fabric that he or she is making. Let's look at how we might do that. Here's a quote that is interwoven into the writing. When the animals realized where the missing milk had gone, the pigs tried to justify why they, and not the whole farm, should get to eat the best food. Squealer reassures them by saying, "It is for your sake that we drink that milk and eat those apples." From Orwell, page 36. I've added a short lead-in to the quote, and now it starts with my own writing, and that starts the sentence where the quote exists. And then if you look here, I've added a comma after my lead-in so that the quote just adds into my own writing and becomes part of that sentence. Now I've fixed the quote dump, and there's one less quote dump in the world. There's another way that I can do it. It sounds like this. When the animals realized where the missing milk had gone, the pigs try to justify why they, and not the whole farm, should get to eat the best food. Squealer explains that it was for the other animals' sake that the pigs drink that milk and eat those apples. From Orwell, page 36. Note that the lead-in is still there but doesn't need a comma anymore because it flows as one sentence just smoothly from the lead-in into my quote. Squealer explains that it is for the other animals' sake. Because of that, I don't have a comma, and I also don't have a capital letter because the quote has become part of my own sentence. You'll also notice some other weird punctuation that's happening here. If you look here, you'll notice these weird square brackets. Those just mean that I've added or changed a word to make it flow better, so it alerts the reader that the quote is a little bit changed from the original, and that shows the reader the words that I have changed. Just like weaving, you don't learn how to embed quotes overnight. Here's some tips to try. Try to be flexible with how much of the beginning of the quote that you use. If it's not working well, try adding a few more words from the original text or dropping a few to see if that helps. You can also play with your own writing with the wording of your own context and quote lead-in, expand or shorten that to make it flow better. You can always ask an expert to help you, and you'll need to practice a whole lot because it's not easy, but it will make your writing sound so much more polished and flow so much better. So your goal as you go forward is to have no more quote dumps. Good luck.